From the 26th until the 28th of February 2024, together with UNESCO's Teacher Task Force, the DBE will be co-hosting the 14th Policy Dialogue Forum. Ahead of the forum, the DBE has put together a series of videos on the work done so far in relation to teacher development.
SACE has got a responsibility to enhance the status and standing of the teaching profession. In doing that, one of the first things that we did was to make sure that we establish a professional regulatory body in the form of the South African Council for Educators, which is responsible for regulating the teaching profession, as I've already indicated, but also to professionalize the profession as well. And so in doing that, we really believe that it's important that we have teachers from both a quantity and also qualitative perspective. South Africa has got a challenge currently, as I'm speaking, of a looming teacher shortage. There are different perceptions in terms of that particular shortage. There are those that believe that yes, we will be having 49% of our teachers retiring in the next coming 10 years because the majority of them, 49% of them, are at the age of 50 plus, and therefore it means we may be having a shortage. However, on the other side, there's a debate or argument that says we have more teachers from absolute number perspective. However, the challenge that we have as a country might be issues around the quality when it comes to substantive issues with regard to the areas of specialization. But on the other hand, there's an argument that says, yes, we have a number of teachers. However, there's a problem with funding the posts that can be occupied by the number of teachers that are being produced. But be that as it may, we've seen that the country is also experiencing a situation where you've got unemployed teachers that are sitting at home despite the fact that they've qualified. And I guess it's because of the issue that we're talking about of not having adequate funding to be employing them. But one of the other things that I want to also indicate as we move towards engaging in issues of policy dialogue is that despite the fact that we might be having a looming shortage, but also despite the fact that we've got many of our countries that do not have an adequate number of teachers, it's very important as part of professionalizing the teaching profession that we just don't look into warm bodies only because classrooms do not have teachers. But we also need to make an effort to make sure that these teachers are or anyone else who wants to stand in front of learners is qualified, and we don't have a mass production of low quality kind of teachers because we are in a crisis. And therefore, if we value the teaching profession, we respect it, and we really make sure that our children are really taught by those that have got quality teaching qualifications. Therefore, we need to make sure that our teachers are trained at all costs. That's the first issue that I want to raise. But the second issue for me is South Africa is, for one to become a teacher, you need to have a Bachelor of Education, which is a 4-year qualification. But secondly, there's another route that you can follow in terms of having first degree or first diploma and then add 1-year methodology or pedagogical content in terms of learning how to teach. However, we need to look into that particular issue because I don't believe that you can have a situation where you train somebody to become a teacher for 1 year. And therefore, the country needs to look into the whole issue of postgraduate certificate in education, which is a 1-year kind of a qualification to be training teacher, in addition to the 3-year 3-year diploma or degree that one has. And that will assist us to make sure that we don't have a situation where somebody is very good in mathematics or science, for example, however cannot be in a position to deliver that particular subject content because the person is not well trained in as far as the pedagogical content is concerned. And therefore, part of the issue that I want to recommend is to review the postgraduate certificate in education, but also look into the issue that we cannot be training early childhood development practitioners and educators through PGCE foundation phase, because it's just saying we're really not serious about making sure that we strengthen and professionalize that particular space. Secondly or thirdly, I want to indicate that South Africa, as part of professionalizing the teaching profession, we've got the professional teaching standards, 10 of them. These standards are there to make sure that we inform and underpin the professionalization of the teaching profession across the continuum, meaning from the time when I say I want to become a teacher in terms of initial teacher education, to when I graduate and become a newly qualified teacher and go through induction and mentoring process, up to when I then become an experienced qualified teacher and being able to engage in continuing professional development. All these processes that I've mentioned from when I want to become a teacher up to when I retire, it's very important that we have those standards underpinning and informing all those processes. But in addition to the standards, we've got values of the teaching profession. We need to make sure that we've got a profession that is really understanding what it values, understanding its professional identity, understanding what it means to become a qualified and also ethical and kind of an inclusive teacher in the teaching profession. And therefore, we are moving in terms of making sure that the standards are being implemented across the continuum, and we will be advocating and promoting them more and more within the teaching profession. But the other area that is also very important for us in terms of professionalizing the teaching profession is to make sure that when we have newly qualified educators, they really are not thrown in the deep end to swim or die or survive or whatever. We need to make sure that through the induction process, that as South Africans we are working collaboratively with the Department of Basic Education, obviously, and all the employers of teachers, to make sure that our teachers are really capacitated, they are really supported, and not leave the profession during the first 3 to 5 years. And we're trying to make teaching attractive. We're trying to make sure that we retain them in the profession. If they are inducted accordingly, they are mentored and also supported continually through the continuing professional development. They will remain in the profession, and they will feel that they are valued by their employers, they are valued by their profession, and also valued by SAIS to be continuing with the work that they are supposed to be doing. But also, we can't expect to have our teachers working under poor conditions, not being able to make professional judgment and decisions in their own classrooms. And therefore, as SAIS, we are advocating for the issue of teacher agency, the issue of teacher autonomy, and also the issue of teacher leadership, so that our teachers can really be treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve, because they are able to make those judgments on their own in their own respective places. And therefore, we are appealing to all the employers of teachers and also all of us within the profession and the education sector to be really encouraging and moving towards issues of autonomy, teacher agency, and also the voice of the teaching profession. Conditions under which teachers are working also matters when it comes to professionalization of the teaching profession, and therefore there's a need for us to look into issues of overcrowd in classrooms, and that has got implications for us funding education more in terms of more classrooms, more teachers being employed, so that we can reduce the bigger classes sizes that we have, and have smaller teacher people ratio in terms of what's going on in our schools. But also we've got the teaching cohort that is stressed a bit in terms of teacher well-being because of the demands of work, the workload, and issues of safety in schools and ill discipline by learners. And therefore there's no way that you can professionalize the teaching profession if you don't take into account those issues that I've highlighted. And therefore programs around teacher well-being becomes very important in terms of making sure that our teachers are really taken care of from that perspective. But also SACE has got a program on safety and security in schools, particularly focusing on the rights and responsibility of teachers as well. And therefore we feel those issues need to be taken care of in terms of as part of the broader process of professionalizing the teaching profession in our schools.